All right, 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 baby. We're streaming. We're streaming right now to you, from me to you, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming at you from the greatest basement in Calgary. It's Jacob's basement, baby.
Is that like a bomb? What is that?
We're streaming right now.
Oh god, that noise freaked me out. It was so loud.
Oh, copy form R301. Hexenhammer. She was looking for
All right, this actually looks half
That
decent.
means that you gotta be careful.
Oh, there you go. Author A2.
New
Well,
info.
All right, I'm gonna watch the gang cracks the Liberty Bell here.
Like, it's weird to be.
All right, this actually looks half decent. How we doing? I'm on the YouTube page. I'm ready to go. I'm feeling good. I've got a brand new microphone and a cool, sexy camera. I'm feeling good about myself. I don't want to kill myself, except sometimes I kind of do. How we doing? I'm on the YouTube page. I'm ready to go. I'm feeling good. I've got a brand new microphone and a cool, sexy camera. I'm feeling good about myself. I don't want to kill myself, except sometimes I kind of do. Yeah, the occasional dip, but all in all, it seems to be decent. So I'm gonna get started now. Let's watch The Gang Cracks the Liberty Bell, the Always Sunny podcast. Here it comes, baby. I love this episode. This episode is fantastic. 1080p HD. Oh, look at that. So much. Oh, mwah, so much better. I've watched this episode recently, and I've watched it multiple times. Like, it's such a good episode. It really is. Let's watch.
Like, it's weird to be on a show.
We're not.
We
haven't started.
Well, I mean,
We
it
haven't
hasn't.
started.
You know what I mean? It hasn't. In that sense, it has.
I mean, like, is there a ton of good content? Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of good stuff came out before you got here.
Well, guys,
I got a hot take. I'm coming in hot.
Oh, he's coming in hot. Let's hear how I sound over the podcast.
Tremendous amount of audience pushback on this particular episode, if I recall correctly. And my hot take is that they're all wrong.
Yeah, this episode is fucking fantastic. Because they mentioned on a previous episode of the podcast that they were wondering what people would think of doing this episode. And they said, like, people didn't like this episode, and I'm like, why? Like, it's such a fantastic episode. I've watched this episode recently, and I've watched it multiple times. Like, it's such a good episode. It really is. Let's watch.
Like, it's weird to be on a show.
Absolutely. Oh, he's coming in hot. Let's hear how I sound over the podcast. Yeah, so I turned it up a little bit. That should be good. Okay, let's watch.
I'm with you. Not only do I think it's a great episode, I think it's one of the best episodes we've ever done.
Hell yeah.
Now that's a hot take.
That's a hot take.
I've got, but
Yeah.
I think it's up there with
That's
a
piping hot.
very good episode.
I think it's within the top 5 to 10 best episodes we've done.
I'll put it in the top
It's
20.
it's one of my favorite cold opens ever.
The cold open is
Cold open is sometimes you
perfect.
stretch out that moment where you guys are doing something absurd for so long. Like
When we're talking about the picture of George Washington, do you remember who we were saying it looked like that the network made us change and we switched it to Meryl Streep?
Oh,
No, wait. Let me think
wait.
about
Let's
that.
try. Let's
Wow, I'm
wait, let's try. Let's try. and
Hey,
figure this
Charlie,
out.
remember something.
They made us change it.
That's
Barbara Bush.
fantastic.
Oh, no, it had to be somebody on FX, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Glenn Close?
Glenn
Yes.
Close.
Glenn Close.
Because of damages.
Yeah, damages
Because
was huge.
it does look a little like Glenn Close. It doesn't look anything like Meryl Streep,
Not really.
and it's not as funny. And that's my only. There's only two.
Yes.
There's only two things that I feel like keep it from being a perfect episode. that joke. Where I'm like, God damn it, it should have been Glenn Close. It's so much better. It's Glenn Close. And my performance. And well, mine and Danny's storyline, but we'll get into that because there was a thing with that.
I do remember. Yeah, I do remember that too, and I want to get your feelings on that now because in retrospect, because I remember it being a thing that we were talking about on the day, trying to dial that in.
Yeah, we'll work to that. But in terms of the episode in general, it's such a great premise. These guys, they have this bar and they want to get more customers.
They want to get more customers into the bar. Yeah, it's a perfect scam.
People would walk by our bar. They come in.
It's a perfect scam.
That's right.
And then they go to the historical society and tell this ridiculous tale, and then I don't know.
I love that basically what we're saying to her is we had a direct hand in our bar had a direct hand in why the Liberty Bell was cracked. Right, and then
she goes,
and then the
tell me
whole
about it.
I love that.
So
I love the way. Of course she would be.
She's
so
terrific.
good.
She's so good.
She's terrific. Yeah, yeah.
She's a woman that works at the historical society, and we're saying we're coming in with a fresh story on how this happened. And she was so excited to hear it.
But yeah, then we don't tell a story about how the Liberty Bell got cracked until the very, very end, and it's just these two dudes. And I think weren't they like stunt guys or whatever, and they were carrying that thing, and the one guy's like, "Oh shit, bro, we just broke the Liberty Bell."
We just broke the Yeah, the ending is so fantastic because it's not about them cracking the Liberty Bell. It's about them like being terrified of the Patriots and wanting to become close with the British.
I don't know if I feel as strongly about it as you guys do.
Well,
I liked it. I enjoyed it very much.
Just
and I
from a
laughed lot, but
purely entertaining standpoint, the fact that we got the production quality of the show to kind of pull that off.
Yeah.
Another
It was
Shackman
very
episode.
expensive. It was
Matt
very
Shackman
expensive.
killed
It
it.
was
Yeah, this
expensive.
was a big swing for us.
No, the patty set looked outstanding.
Yeah.
Oh my
The two
God,
of
it
you
looks good.
guys and David and Caitlin are firing on all cylinders. I'll say that Danny and my storyline isn't as strong as you guys' storyline.
That is true.
There's not like much happening there, so I think maybe that just.
Hey, I've
Takes
got a
it out
new
of maybe one
viewer.
of the
What's
best
up,
we've
new
done.
viewer? We're
God
watching
damn
the
it.
Always Sunny
I
podcast.
laughed
They're
big
talking
time
about the
there.
gang cracks the
I
Liberty
think that
Bell. How the
gun
hell are you
sequence
feeling?
is so funny though.
gun
When
sequence is funny.
she
Where-
Oh my
she's
God!
gonna shoot the
Yes.
pumpkin off in his head, and then you
The
guys are
pumpkin.
checking if the guns work by pointing them
At each other.
while you
Yes.
pose.
The pose. The pose is so good.
Like, oh,
The
so
pose
funny.
is
Joe asking
fantastic.
How she could have possibly talked you into this, Frank? And he's like, maybe it was her necromancy, and
Yeah.
she was like, he
Damn your
asked me
necromancy, woman.
to shoot the guns, and I said, yes, that's it. That's why we're
Came
here.
in and said, "Shoot a pumpkin off my head."
I like that they're slightly simpler people. They're even simpler than our characters, which are already simple. I mean, your reaction to Cricket saying, "But we don't really
Alicia,
think she's a witch."
it's good to have you here.
It's totally earnest. Like,
Yeah.
no, pretty sure she is.
Yeah, it's pretty
How's the stream quality? I haven't streamed on my computer
That
for a while, and I
sequence
did a little bit
where-
of testing.
where
Is
he
the
says,
stream
"I'm not
looking
very
good,
with
sounding
women,"
good?
And you guys are like,
Good
"What?
at women?
What do you mean?
Good at
Good
women?
at women?
Good with women. Good at them.
Good at
You're
them.
bad at-
They don't have any rights.
Just catch it.
When, like, you're kind of going between like a bullshit story that these guys are telling, but also like who they would have been in this time, which is fun to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're like, well, the first thing we're gonna do is try to get on the British side is so
Yes, so
fitting
encouraging.
to the characters. It works
Yeah.
great, man.
Also fitting to Dee that she wants independence unless the dependence comes with land and gowns
Yes.
and jewelry.
Yeah.
In which case she's totally fine being married to some guy,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Although she's got to work up to kissing him.
Do you guys have any recollection though of like pitching this episode or like how we got to wanting to do? I mean, for where we were at with the show, it is a big swing, which is
Yeah.
probably why it was jarring to audiences, which is like they have to, suspend their disbelief beyond what they're already doing. But like, I don't even remember how we
gives a
like,
shit?
now it would seem normal to be like, yeah, we might do one like that, but at the time we must
I
have been
can tell you
thinking,
where I do understand the audience's ire. I would say.
God,
that
I want that
as
fucking
the
hoodie.
maker
That
of
hoodie that
stuff,
Glenn, that
I
hoodie
like
that
to
he is
stretch
wearing
and do
right now. I
different
want that
things.
so
Yeah, it
bad.
makes it fun. But as a fan or as a viewer of a show, I actually sometimes do get frustrated when they get outside of the norm of what the episodes are.
Johnny Cakes.
Yeah. Yes. Example.
Johnny
That's a
Cakes?
great example. Yeah. In The Sopranos, or the
Oh.
episode where Tony moves to is a dream sequence and moves to Los Angeles and becomes like
Yeah.
an average guy.
Sure.
You're watching it and you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I get why this is exciting to them because it's different and they get to
Yeah.
stretch and tell a story in a different way. The Fly episode, very
nah,
famously
you
in
want to see
Breaking
the
Bad.
Fonzie in the leather coat punch the jukebox
Absolutely.
and make it work. You don't want to see him jump over the sharks.
Yeah.
But I will say though about this episode, we're not doing that. They're just telling a tale, right? So that's why for me it's still.
That's why it works
Yeah.
because it's our characters making something up and visualizing ourselves.
They're just telling a
as the
story,
characters
and
in
then the
story.
audience gets to go along with the story.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. They're dead wrong. The audience is wrong.
The audience is wrong.
Creeps
And
and
by the
listeners who
way, it's-
disagree, you can fuck off.
By
It's
the
our
way,
show,
you know,
right?
No, learn something today. Learn that you're wrong. No, but like, but
That's why the people tune into the podcast.
let's.
They want to
give-
learn.
They want to learn
many
why
millions of
they're
people
wrong.
Who I'm sure love that episode too. I don't want to say that.
My dad loves that.
Right here,
Loves the
baby.
episode. It's one of his favorite episodes. I gotta ask him why that is. I don't know. I think he actually
Call him.
appreciated that we took like a weird historical angle.
Call him
on
right now.
Things. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that it's hated. I think it's just polarizing. I think people either really like it or they don't like it and they skip that one in like the rotation.
Let me throw this in there. That if you're one of those creeps or listeners that skips that episode when you do a rewatch, give it
Why
another
the
shot.
hell would
know,
you?
might- your opinion on it may have changed, or maybe not. I don't know. You may still come out the other side hating it, but give it another shot.
I don't remember the breaking of it at all. I don't remember how it got pitched in the room, or I don't even remember feeling like, oh, this is a big swing, or.
I think it started with the concept of trying to get Patty's on a historical tour to drum up business. Like, I think that's how it started, and then I think it went to like, well, what if we actually tell the story? Like, what if we actually do an episode that takes place in the time that our characters are referring to? I do believe that is how it evolved, and then I think we got very excited because we were like, oh, that would be really fun and totally different.
So I remember. So here's my thing with my performance in that, which I'm going. There's different takes of me playing it kind of much more like Charlie Kelly,
Yeah.
and then me playing it like this kind of like, you know, monstrously dumb,
Yeah.
like frighteningly dumb guy.
Right.
Which was my initial instinct, which was to be like, oh, okay, what would the 1776 version of this guy who's already an idiot be like? How kind of base could I
Yeah.
make the guy?
Yeah.
If you're illiterate in 2005,
Yeah.
what would you be in
Yeah,
1776?
what would it be in
Right,
1776? But you guys were just doing your characters in those costumes, right?
Well,
like,
sort of. We were hopping in and out. Like we
right,
were,
right.
we
You
would,
do the eye and stuff, but like you're not.
we would be like our sort of like heightened versions of, you know, and then something would happen. I'd be like, oh yeah, good one, nice one.
Yeah,
Witch,"
right,
you
right,
know,
right,
like
right.
that
Yeah,
kind of shit.
good one, witch. That's another.
A full
Yeah.
day, I think, or like full couple scenes of that, and then you guys kind of pulled me aside and be like, "Hey, I feel like I'm not seeing any Charlie." I remember you saying, I think you were being nice and trying to like soften the blow, but being like, "You're doing such a good job. I don't see any of your character in there."
Yeah, it's like you're playing a different character.
You're playing a different
Actually, to Shackman's credit, he was the one that was picking up on it first.
Oh.
He's such a great director, and he
Yeah.
like came to us and was like, "I think look, he never wants to get in the way of any of our performances, right? So I remember him saying, I don't want to step on Charlie's performance because it's great, but I'm not seeing a ton of Charlie Kelly in there. What do you guys think?" And I remember us discussing it and then bringing it to you.
Yeah, and
I don't
He
know.
and you
That
guys
scene
were
where
dead right. I
that scene
think
where
you were-
he's talking
that
about stealing the
my
man's
side of the story
pumpkins
worked
and he
better if I
doesn't
just
even
played it
put it
straight like
together.
Charlie Kelly.
He doesn't even put it together that he could beat
could-
the man
but,
and
like,
take him.
I think
And then
it
once he
didn't
does
need
put
anything
it together,
beyond
it's like,
just
all right,
afraid
I'll
to be
beat the man
different
about the legs.
costumes
Like
and
that's
furs and
Charlie
pumpkins.
Kelly, man.
Yeah, I think I recall it feeling a little like a hat on a hat, right? Like I was like, it's already really funny what you guys are doing and
Right.
saying, and it's all, you know, and then. Yeah, I think that's how.
Back down to
that's
one
how I felt
viewer.
about
That's
it,
how
'cause
you know
I-
it's a
I
Jacob
remember
Rewind
also agreeing that I actually
stream.
liked
Nobody's
what you were doing.
watching. I could take my
I just felt
pants
like it would
off
be
right
funny
now
if
and
you
nobody
did-
would care. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take my pants off.
I know, and like, it was one of those things too, where it's hard to know, right? We don't know and there are no rules, right? Like cricket is a completely different guy, but it works because he's this British guy.
Boom!
It's this like fantasy of cricket.
Pants are coming off,
Also the way you guys
and
treat him
you
is similar
missed
The
it.
way we
to
treat him
like
is similar.
D
right?
not being interested
Yeah,
in
yeah.
him and calling
And
him
it-
crazy ugly.
It might have been me too, being like, well, there's not. The storyline is like we're trying to buy a pumpkin, and then there's the funny thing with the guns, but like, there's not much to that storyline. So I'm trying to make more out of it, but
You can really see it in the the first time you speak. So it was probably an early take in that first scene.
Show me. Yes, it's so good.
Now, my good gentlemen, what says you of my fine furs here? Merely I'd be able to guide you towards some interest in some purchase.
I can't understand what you're saying.
You want to buy a fur? Yeah.
You can see you going for it there. But I find myself
Go for
watching
it.
it and remembering that entire sequence happening, and then going, "Oh man, I wouldn't mind seeing a whole episode."
Yeah,
of
of
that.
that. Yeah, no, it's the
Of
same.
that guy?
same.
Yeah.
I'd
So,
like.
but
I'd
what-
love to do a side by side, like like if there was a cut of like full that, versus like.
What we wound
none of
up
that.
doing was that I would do one take as that, and then several takes with that dialed way
so that
down.
we had the option.
But then what wound up happening, I think, because we had one day of shooting where it was fully that, is that it's kind of in and out of that. Like sometimes it's that, sometimes it's not that.
Yeah.
Which
I think it,
I don't
it
think
doesn't
it would
totally
bother
not.
me.
It doesn't. It
Doesn't bother
feel
me either.
completely
Doesn't bother
disjointed.
me
I
one
see
bit.
it because I
I
know
love it.
what
Yeah.
we did.
no,
but-
and it's fine because we're all doing some characters at times and then dropping it. But that rewatching it, being like, yeah, no, I feel like you guys were totally right. Like it should have been like just do it as Charlie Kelly.
Well, so do you guys remember? So when I do remember when we were writing the episode or breaking the episode, talking about what we wanted those guns to look like.
Oh, yeah.
And we very specifically, you and I had the same image. You
No,
you might
all
have
of
been-
us did. When you
Yeah.
say blunderbuss,
Yeah,
Yeah,
blunderbuss.
yeah, yeah.
we know everybody knows what a
Or
blunderbuss is
elephant
based
gun.
on. Based
No,
on
yeah.
yes, it's an
On
elephant.
It's a
cartoons.
cartoon guy. It's a
Based on
cartoon guy.
based on Elmer Fudd.
It's an Elmer Fudd.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We-
Is that
that's
the
what we
one where
wanted.
the barrel at the end goes
Yes.
like that?
So
like
that's what we had in our minds when we write that in, and we call it a blunderbuss. And
Yeah,
it
we've
turn-
written that.
And on the day we get these guns. They look like actual rifles, and we're like, well, this ain't
It
funny.
ain't funny.
They're like,
We
no,
want
no,
the
but this
Elmer
is what they actually used in 1776.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
like, I don't fucking care.
We don't give a shit.
That's not funny.
Bring us what we wrote in the script, and they're like, dickheads, this is what you wrote in the script, and we're like, well, don't bring us what we were thinking.
There's a lot of that. There is a lot of that. Our
No,
poor,
what we're thinking.
our poor,
know what
poor
we're
props
thinking.
people.
Don't bring us what we asked for.
Right, because didn't
Bring
we
us what we're
determine that there were no
thinking.
actual guns
No.
made with quite the dimensions that Elmer
That
Fudd.
Yeah, we had to manufacture
You
it.
can't get a cartoon
I mean, we could've
gun.
got one. We could have
Well,
one made.
there was also another incident with this episode where we were saying we want Cricket's head to explode in a very specific way.
Well, do you remember what the reference was?
I do, but at the time,
Do you remember?
We were like, we know exactly what we want it to be. We want it to explode in a billion pieces. And they're like, well, that just can't be done. And we were like, well, no, we've seen it
No,
in the
David
movie.
Cronenberg did it in the 1970s.
Yeah,
David
so we saw it in
Cronenberg, yep.
scanners, and we
Yeah.
were like,
The
make
Fly?
it, like,
we
look
want a
like
scanners
this.
explosion.
Yeah, I mean,
Scanners.
For the audience, anybody who's David Cronenberg fan certainly, but if you have seen the movie Scanners, there is a very famous scene
should
where
put that in
I
the
believe
cut it
it's
in right here.
I believe it's
Yeah,
Michael
pop it in.
Ironside's head,
Oh, is it?
Oh.
or maybe Ironside's doing it. I can't remember. Ironside's involved in some way. Love that guy. Very broad
Do it.
shoulders.
Well, put it
Him
in.
and
Community
Brian
episode.
Dennehy. What's
He
that?
was in one of my community episodes.
He's terrific.
He told great stories about some movie he was on with like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, well,
tracks.
Total Recall.
Yeah, Total
Total Recall.
Yeah, he's-
He was
yeah.
talking about being in a
Oh, yeah,
room
totally. He's great in Total.
and they just the cigarette smoke, like that they would in order to get the room smoky back then to like shoot with atmosphere. Not only did they used to smoke, but there used to be buckets of cigarettes just like smoking into the room to like get it.
Well, that's ridiculous because smoke machines definitely existed.
But that's like apropos to what we're talking about here. So we were saying, great. Make
They
it
didn't
look
even
like
put in the
scanners.
head
And
scanners
visual-
explosion.
Special effects guys
'Cause
were
I
like,
kinda know
"We
what
can't
he was
do that. And we were like,
like.
what are you talking about? It's 30 years later. And they're like, well, no. The way that they got that, because we
Yes.
wound up. There's a couple of takes that we actually did where the head. I think we had 3 heads, and the 2 takes did not work because the pyrotechnic just didn't work. It just kind of
we
like
were just like,
fell apart.
We got it.
And our special effects guy was like, look, the way that they did that, because he researched it,
Okay.
was the guy came in with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
right
this
off
is
camera, just
Yeah,
blew
just
the head away
blasted
with the
the head
shotgun.
with
And we
the
were like,
shotgun.
let's do that. And he was like, we can't do that. It's not the 1970s. So at the same time when they were burning cigarettes on sets, they were taking
shooting people with
shotguns.
shotguns.
So
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
hot guns. And 5 rounds on set, blowing heads up.
Probably had a cigarette
Hell
in his
yeah.
mouth while he was doing it. You know?
That's epic.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So how did we? I don't remember. And we were, by the way, that was the
How
first
did
time we
we?
shot with the Phantom. That
Well,
was
we
that
like-
was the first time we.
By the way, they've completely let me down here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. Scanner's head explosion gif. Yep. Because you didn't put it in the pod. You said you were gonna put it in the pod, but you didn't. I've seen this, but I haven't seen Scanners. Do it! Do it! Show it to me! Give it to me, baby! There it is! Curse plowsers! That was nice. That was good. Oh, jeez. And now I'm stuck in full screen. Okay, back to the podcast. Back to the podcast. Back to the podcast. And in the episode, I'd like them to talk about how they actually did do it. Because they did do it.
Cigarettes on set.
They did do it. They did get a good scanner's head explosion. And hey, we're in the green. We're only dropping 27% of the frames. I think this is a pretty decent quality stream. I think I might do this every week. Let's do it.
So, just hot guns.
Live rounds.
And live rounds on set, blowing heads up.
Probably had a cigarette in his mouth while he was doing it. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah. Yeah, sure. So how did we? I don't remember. And we were, by the way, that was the first time we shot with the Phantom. That
Well,
was
we
that
like
was the first time we shot with the
So
Phantom
he
camera.
upped the load. The first one was like 30%, and
So
then it was
more
like
loads.
60%, and then he put in like, and we had everybody to leave and put on ear protection and shit, and he essentially just, he blew the thing up with like the
Yes.
force of.
And it was
That's funny.
Yeah.
My memory, he shot it with a shotgun.
now now in scanners. I believe.
Charlie.
I feel like.
Oh, what the hell? I just needed to keep watching for 10, 15 more seconds and they would have put it in. And instead oh my god, I feel like such a moron. You're watching a Jacob Rewind stream, baby!
Now in scanners, I believe I feel like the face, like it explodes, but the face actually like flaps in a like a
Oh,
really
yeah.
interesting way. We never
Which we
quite
have,
heard-
which we have in here.
I have.
What do you mean? Oh,
The horns bone.
And I shall make sure that all of you are safe from the mighty sword of Britain.
Ooh! Check his pulse.
Damn it, Frank! You just ruined my whole life!
Wait.
Check his pulse.
He doesn't have a head!
Yeah, a good chunk of it
it's good.
flies off the side. But
well, you see an eye, you get a great eyeball. Just an eyeball goes.
you
Like,
know, part of the shame of it though is like having to use the different camera just to get the slow shot. So then it jumps
yeah.
so much that
I feel like
it's a little less surprising. It's still fun
Well, that's
because
also
you're like,
part of how silly it looks.
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
see that it's a. It's
Oh
a,
yeah, and
there's a
also
moment.
then
Yeah, there's a
then
there's a
Charlie
frame of
being
it.
like, "Well, check his pulse." And
I'm so glad Megan is there
his pulse.
to remind them that the show is
check
good.
his pulse. That was in the script. That was scripted.
Speaking of effects, how did you guys get Rob's wooden teeth to make that noise?
Oh, first of all, yeah, your
Your
wooden
performance
teeth acting. Yeah, your acting in
is
general in
amazing.
this
Your
episode
acting is amazing.
One of
Very
your
good.
best episodes,
I
I think.
totally
like
agree.
you've had many, many good ones, but I think this is one of your best. The two of you guys together, all those scenes.
So good.
Those sons of liberty sons of bitches, Dennis. Those guys are gonna get us into so much trouble. Let's do this. No. You hang back. What? Me? Why? Because, dude, we need to get as much intel from these guys as we possibly can for that Colonel Cricket. Yeah? This Fop thing's gonna totally blow our cover. What's going on with your mouth? Oh, I got some wooden teeth put in. Did you? Yeah, well, all the Patriots are doing it, including Washington, which is why it makes sense, okay, if we're going undercover. Not this Fop bullshit. No, the Fop thing's good, man. I got a plan with it. Yeah, got an angle. Fine. Okay, let's just... You let me take the lead, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
But yeah, the wooden teeth is such a funny.
How did you do the whistle?
That's not actually teeth. There's no teeth in there. It's my teeth just painted.
Painted brown.
So I was just doing it with like a whistle.
But are you making that whistle noise?
Yeah.
Whoa!
We
just do
add
that?
some
Yes.
whistles.
And
He
then
did
we
it!
would add- yeah, so that's exactly right. So we'd
Can
have
you
to
do
say
it
like
now?
yeah. So what were some of the some of the lines? And then what I did was in post I just went like
Oh, and they
and then we would just drop it in.
Oh!
so
Yeah.
funny.
It's so good.
It's so
Yeah, you
good.
should-
How is he whistling like that?
I mean, that's
Yes.
fucking. I can't do that. I can't do that.
The combination of that
How does
guy
he
and
do
then
that?
Fop in that
I can make
first
a funny
scene
mouth noise.
where you go to the revolutionaries and then you're like,
But
what
that's
are we talking about? You're
it.
like, surrender.
Surrender, maybe.
I think the whistle's making the whole the whistle's the whole thing. Yeah,
So,
no, we
yeah,
just add it.
that's the whole thing making it work.
As my old trainer Matt Vinci playing the one of the Patriots. I used to work out with.
Oh, right.
He seems like a patriot. He seems like a real patriot.
Yeah, in real life, you think he's a big patriot? And so he just comes off like a patriot? Because he is one?
Yeah, he seems like he could kick butt for America. You know? Square jaw.
Yeah, just a...
Where you guys seem like traitors and fops.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Did it take longer to shoot this episode?
Probably. There's
I think
no
it
way
took
we
longer
had
because
more.
we had to redress the whole bar,
Yeah.
which was a big deal.
But once it was dressed, once the sets were all built, it wasn't super complicated.
Where'd you shoot all that stuff that was like out in the marketplace and stuff?
Lacey Street Studios, and it was not a nice studio.
No.
Kind of rough around the edges. And we just brought in the dirt and the chickens, but they had a lot of
Yes.
like brick and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, all that stuff had to be built. It had to be, and
Yeah.
enough of it to where we could do an actual walk and talk.
Didn't we shoot some of it in Pasadena?
Yes,
That sounds
and then
right,
you
yeah.
guys going down the alleyway where Dave G. turned out to want to That's the alleyway in Pasadena.
And then we shot in front of Patty's.
And then we shot in front of Patty's, and we
we did.
just put dirt down, and
Yeah.
that was
By the way,
on
I
a
was-
green screen.
And green screen.
I was watching the movie Judgment Night last night,
Sure.
and there is absolutely there's a shot of like
Patty's?
when the
Whoa!
RV breaks down in that movie. It's right next to they drive right by Patty's.
You know, it's another
Nice.
classic like downtown movie is Repo Man, and
Yeah.
it's all like the streets where we shoot Sunny.
Emilio Estevez only shot nights, right?
Yeah, he's like, is it night? Is it downtown LA? I'm in.
I'm in.
Are there any small ducks involved? Are they mighty?
Dave G, our
Dave
buddy
G,
Dave
yeah.
G, who had already been in an episode because he was in The Gang Sells Out. He plays somebody who works at
Oh,
Oldies
another
Rock
actor
Cafe.
He's played a
connection.
number of characters.
Well, so
Who
he
else
played
has
the
he
Oldies
played?
Rock Cafe guy with the he had like a little thing, and he is giving Dee the resume, right?
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah.
Who
and
else?
Then we brought him back for the Liberty Bell. He plays the
Oh.
company guy who accosts us. and
He's
Tarzan.
credited as Thug.
Thug.
Okay.
Okay,
And
sure.
then he comes back again.
So
That
Dave's
goes in.
played 3 characters on the
Yeah.
show. Dave G.
Damn.
Oh, and then also the courtyard where you guys go to meet David for the first time and you bring him to ale.
That was in Altadena.
Yeah, that was in La Cañada.
Oh.
Oh.
That was in La Cañada. It's like
Oh.
an old, like, kind of mansion-y thing.
Wait, do you know? Are you sure that was in La Cañada?
Yeah.
Was it like a gated community?
Is La Cañada near Altadena?
Yeah, they're close. Yeah.
Okay, because I thought it was Altadena.
Yeah, it's up that way.
Okay.
See, I had a memory, and maybe this was actually a different episode. This might have been the gang. This might have been the gang gets trapped in the closet. But maybe if you guys remember
What?
this.
The gang gets trapped in the closet. The gang gets trapped in the closet? Does he mean the gang gets trapped?
A very famous person lived.
That was Trapped in the Closet.
That was
We-
trapped in the closet.
And
Okay.
that's down off Wilshire Boulevard.
Okay, yeah, that's over. Okay, so we'll save that.
Jesus, for a guy who doesn't remember much,
He
he remembers a
remembers
lot.
Charlie's on top of it.
I'm clear. I'm crystal clear.
Charlie's firing on all cylinders today.
That house is near the golf course,
Which
and he
one?
remembers
The La
one on
Cañada
Wilshire.
one?
No, the one on Wilshire.
Did you take
and
a
by the way,
Limitless?
so is the La Cañada.
Did you take a Limitless pill this morning?
Are you limitless?
I have no limits this morning. What else do you want to remember?
Rum ham! Rum ham!
Glenn, you look like you've been working out.
Oh man, thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
look, I'm always working out, so I'm not sure if you just now
Oof,
noticed.
don't make
like
me
a
feel bad,
compliment
boys.
or
Don't make me feel
not.
bad for not working
I've
out.
been working out a lot too.
Yeah, you're the sort of person that needs to do that to feel good about themselves.
What are you guys wearing to work out these days? What are you looking good in?
Mainly, I'm looking for versatility and comfortability. All right, something that will fit any workout I might be doing that day. Maybe running, I might be swimming, training, or yoga, and that's why I love the core shorts from Viore.
Oh my God, the Viore shorts.
Yeah, guys, I don't go anywhere near the gym without my Vioris. I mean, I love them. They look and they feel great as you move in them. Plus, you know what I love? Their products are made from sustainable materials and offsets 100% of its carbon and plastic footprint, so you can feel great about what you're wearing.
Viore is an
Wow!
investment in your happiness. For our listeners, they are offering 20% off your first purchase.
Guys, get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at Viore.com/sunnypod.
Yeah.
That's VUORI.com/sunnypod.
I'm watching the stream right now and I'm yawning during the ad
but
read.
Enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. You know, if it doesn't fit, it goes back free. Go to Viore.com/sunnypod and discover the versatility of that Viore clothing, man.
I'm watching the stream
We're brought to you this week by Shopify for when you're ready to launch your thing into the
Shopify!
spotlight. And here to attest are three guys who we all know because they launched their thing into the spotlight.
Yep,
Does that
that's
sound
right.
We
It
launched
does.
our
We
thing
launched
into
our
the
things into the spotlight.
I don't know.
Well, we did our television show, and everybody is familiar with that origin story by
Yep.
now. But
Oh,
I have
yeah.
to say, if we did it again, we might
Gotta
launch
find a way to
ourselves
do that
onto a
for
different
myself.
platform.
Ooh, a different platform like Shopify?
Absolutely. It's been a good run on cable, but I feel like culture is shifting towards a platform ethos like Shopify. You create a store based on your own vibe, discover new customers that dig your vibe, and grow a following that keeps coming back week in and week out.
Yeah, plus Shopify has all the sales channels sorted to keep your business growing, from an in-person POS system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform, even across social media platforms like TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram.
Launching our thing into the spotlight has always been a dream from a very young age, but I will say it has its share of pitfalls and learning curves. It would have been a lot easier with Shopify's 24/7 support and free libraries of educational content.
Shopify makes it simple
Wow.
to sell to anyone, anywhere, and every minute, new sellers around the world make their first sale on Shopify.
Let's just jump to it. You know what? Sign up for a free trial today at shopify.com/sunny, all lowercase.
Yep, go to shopify.com/sunny to start selling online today.
I'm going to say it one more time.
/Sunny. Sounds good, boys. If I need to start a store,
You know, right now,
I'll be using that promo
we're
code.
writing the show again.
Oh!
Just started.
We just started writing the show.
Lord!
I don't know when this podcast is going to air.
This is
The
coming out next
Lord.
Monday.
Yeah.
Okay,
okay,
so
all right.
we will.
So we're on day 2 of writing.
Oh my
and
God.
Rob Rosell and Scott Martyr are back this year in the writers' room,
Ooh.
which is really exciting.
Some
Very
icons.
exciting. Very exciting.
I will say, when I look up at that list of episodes, and I think we've discussed this, so you guys feel the same way, that the closer they are to the present, the least I remember them. I remember I could name you every episode from seasons 1 through 3 or 4, and then it starts to get, and then the closer it gets,
That
I
is
like season
so
14,
weird.
But is that because
That
we
is
just
so
rewatched it
weird.
for the podcast?
I
do you
don't think so. I think it's because we spent so much more time making them because we were figuring out what the show was. I'm not-
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah.
Much more all-consuming experience in the early years because you're
Huh.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything matters. Every decision is
You've also lived with the older
monumental.
ones longer,
Yeah.
right? So, like, whatever Gang Cracks the Liberty Bell has been discussed and quoted and talked about, you know,
For a
many
longer
times.
period
There's
of
been
time,
memes. They've been sort of like put into society in a way that, like,
Society!
you know,
Society!
you know, it's just newer. It's just not been in your life as long. So, like, I remember.
Yeah, but
those.
I mean, personally, I think it has more to do with sort of where you're at in life, where you're, you know, it's like,
Yeah, like you got a lot more going on now too, like
Children.
children, multiple shows versus when
Yeah.
we were all
Pouring
our whole
everything.
life was
Yeah.
a show.
we were pouring absolutely everything into it, and it took longer because we were figuring it out. So I think that's why, because every decision felt monumental.
This period that we're in right now in the writers' room is my favorite part. The blue skying at the beginning. It's always the most fun because you're just like throwing a bunch of weird
explain-
ideas.
Spaghetti at the wall.
Anything can happen.
Anything goes.
Explain
Anything
to the
goes.
audience what that is.
Yeah,
what that
so blue
portion of it
skying. So the first
Blue skying.
we usually only do like a week of this on Sunny, but on most shows, the first couple weeks, you just throw out episode ideas. So it could be like little tiny ideas, like full fully formed episodes. I used to do that when I prepared more for my first day, but now you guys can't fire me, so I come in with like half ideas. So I'm like, I don't know this. But
what you find is no matter what, you're eventually responsible for your lack of preparation in the beginning because then you got to make up for it over the course of the next.
But it's fun because then so Rob was sitting with index cards, and any idea that you guys liked, he would just write it down and we'd put it up on the board. So then there's all these cards up on the board that might have ideas like, well, the Judgment Night thing that you guys got onto, and you were really excited about for next year, or
that'd be interesting to talk about. Yeah. So why did we get into Judgment Night? We got into Judgment Night because of relevance. We were talking about being relevant and our music choices being relevant. And we talked about how the Judgment Night soundtrack was a seminal experience for people over the age of 44.
Right. Yeah.
That was like a huge album.
Yeah. Yeah. It was one of those. It was one of those albums. It was like that and like The Crow soundtrack.
Dangerous Minds.
Dangerous Minds. There were like a couple of soundtracks back in the day that really cut through and had like a huge cultural impact. I don't know.
So that got us talking about Cypress Hill.
Right.
And singing Cypress Hill songs, and then half the room was like, who's Cypress
that?
Hill? What is this?
Yeah.
Not half our room. Half our room's all old.
Megan.
There were a couple things where Nina was turning to me. She was like, Nina was like, I don't know.
Davis.
Davis, yeah.
I think maybe that's why sometimes when we go through these episodes and I ask you where the ideas came from, it's so hard to remember specifically because it is so amorphous in a writer's room. Like like that Judgment Night thing might turn into an episode that you could never believe started with a conversation about the Judgment Night soundtrack and then became something
else
completely
Like
different.
we could lose the whole Judgment Night thing totally,
Exactly.
but it inspires something. I mean, also like, yeah, it was interesting. We're talking about that, and like in Judgment Night, they've rented like a Winnebago, and they're trying to get to a boxing match, and they pull over because the traffic's bad, and then they're like in a bad neighborhood, and then they like see a murder, and then they're like, it's like a very kind of genre-based, like fight your way out of hell kind of thing. But like, I don't know, there's such a problem with homelessness, and there was something interesting about the idea of like literally driving around in like a second home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then trying to cut through like a homeless encampment.
Yeah, in your home.
Yeah, in your mobile second home.
So what if instead of committing the murder, or instead of seeing the murder, we think we've committed the murder, and we have to
like
get
run over a homeless person with your other home.
And then we have to get out of here.
That's
Well,
fucked.
that's how that is what happens in Judgment Night. Sort of. I mean, to say he's not a homeless guy, but
he's like
they
running
hit-
for help, and
They
then
hit a
get him.
guy that was just shot.
But
and
that
they
was an
think he-
accident.
Yeah, it was a total accident. And then they rescue the guy thinking that it's because they hit him, and then they discover that he's been shot. And then they find like money on him, and they're like, oh shit, what are we about to get wrapped up in? And then Dennis Leary shows up.
And doesn't he
And he's
finishes
funny.
him off? Doesn't he finish him off, shoot him in the head?
Yeah, he sure does.
Damn.
I mean, he really, got his career to an interesting place from
He sure did.
stand-up, right? Where he got to do like dramatic stuff. And
Yeah. Well, he's a good actor. I
he's
wonder. Yeah, I'd love to actually. I don't know if he started as an actor, because some people like you think that they were
That's right.
stand-ups, but they actually were actors first, and then they just happened to do stand-up. Like, I think for people who don't know that, like Robin Williams went to Juilliard, they're like, oh, he was a stand-up comedian, and then he became an actor. And I was like, no, he was an actor first. Then he started doing stand-up because he was so funny. I do remember. I think it was maybe the last season of Rescue Me. And we saw Dennis Leary. I don't remember I think we were all there. And we ran into Dennis Leary in a hallway. I think it was at a TCA event or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
he was like
That's right.
very effusive.
In the bowels
and-
of the TCA.
Yeah.
Yes, I do
and
remember
he was super nice and effusive and it was really cool because one of my first, God, was it my first? No, I think it was my second on-camera gig. It might be offensive
But
in
it wasn't
today's.
offensive at the time.
Was this the job?
It was
the
definitely
show?
offensive at the time, but it's
Didn't we talk
probably
about
was.
this? The job?
yeah.
Yeah,
is
so
it?
so I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast. So yeah, it was a show that Dennis Leary did. It was a half-hour comedy, but it was about cops, and it was called The Job, and I believe it was on ABC. Mm-hmm. And I remember
A, B,
auditioning,
C, D, E, F, G,
going into this
H,
audition
I,
to
J,
play
K, O,
a
M,
gay
N, O, P, Q,
wedding planner.
R, S,
And I remember I
T,
didn't know.
U,
I was
V,
like,
W,
I didn't
X,
know
Y,
like sort of
Z.
tonally what they were going for with this. So I remember going into the audition, and again, this is a part that's like I don't even know if saying this would be considered offensive, but I was just trying to get a performance note from the casting director and from the director and the people that were there. I was like, how gay are we talking? Like you know what I mean? Give me a range, you know?
How much of a stereotype are we looking for?
How gay
No, that was
Do we want to make
are
the
we
situation
looking
better
for?
or worse? Just socially.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Am I making fun of this entire group of people?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. It was literally. I was like, I just draw. You know, one.
But you were basing him on a real person.
Well, okay, that's so. Yes, that is actually true. But that came after they said, like, I was like, on a scale of, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, how effeminate do you want this man to be? And they were like, an 11.
What?
Whoa.
11.
Are you sure? And they were like,
all
yeah.
a bunch of straight people in a room being like, let's go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Let's just. I think they just wanted to see what an 11 was. Sure. You know what I mean? They were like, well, since you asked, you know, what's your
shot. Let's see what you got.
Yeah. Yeah, thick lips.
what's your 11? So I gave him an 11, and it was, to be fair, totally and 100% based on a guy that was in the dance division at Juilliard at the same time as me.
Yep. As taught by Benjamin Harkarvey.
Yeah, yes, rest in peace.
R.I.P.
And so I was basically like, I'm just going to do that. Because that's an 11. So then when they were like, they loved
Were
it.
they like, wow?
Wow.
I think they hired me, so they must have liked it. And then when I actually shot it, I went prepared to like fully be that guy. And when I started shooting it, actually, they had me dial it back. So what's in that show is actually like
Dialed back.
a 7.
Okay.
That's a 7.
Rob, what are you playing your gay character at?
Me?
Yeah, a 3?
Oh. As a stereotype?
Yeah,
No,
on
a
the
zero.
Zero, yeah. Max
So
his
that's
own
the question,
guy.
right? I mean, you know, because you can definitely see it as a stereotype, you know, but I was playing essentially a real human being that I had met and encountered and
Yes.
talked to and was, you know, friendly with. So this was a person that I knew. This is a real human being that I was
Yes.
basing this on. So stereotype, yeah, you could see it that way for sure.
So you're saying that oftentimes stereotypes are 100% true.
Well, that's true, isn't it?
Not for whole groups of people, but sometimes for individual
For
people.
individual people,
Individual
yes.
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's right to portray them that way. I'm not even saying that my performance was completely dialed in, you know, in that sense. But, you know, for clarification, I was playing a real human being.
Yes.
But when you were on that show, were you a big fan of Dennis Leary before you got there? Was he one of your like comedy? Did you grow up like watching comedians and like coming in that way, or was it just the acting thing and then you found comedy?
It was both. I mean, I at the time I was, I didn't consider myself a comedy person at all. I mean, I knew I liked doing comedy. I felt like, you know, amongst my group of friends, maybe I was funny, but I had a lot of super funny friends. And as I think you've pointed out with like your buddies in Philly, you feel like you're the least funny person of all your friends, and yet you've made a career out of it. I often feel that way, where I'm like, I have so many friends that are so much funnier than me, and yet somehow I've made a career
I didn't
in
grow up
comedy.
watching. Did you grow up watching a lot of stand-up?
Yeah, lots of stand-up.
Well,
And
how did you
reading-
access it?
It was on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
I didn't have cable.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't a
Comedy
fucking rich
Central, and also I used to watch SNL, and then after SNL,
Damn, Charlie throwing shade at
Comedy
Meg.
Central, and also.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I didn't have cable.
oh, okay.
Wasn't a
Comedy
fucking rich
Central, and
Oh
also.
my God.
I-
Jesus, I'm gonna make that my new Discord profile picture. The smug.
I didn't have cable.
oh, okay.
Wasn't a
Comedy
fucking rich
Central.
If I could get one of those animated Discord profile pictures, that would be my image. Just. Oh my God, the sass on Charlie.
I used to watch SNL, and then
Damn!
SNL was Showtime at the Apollo.
Oh, Showtime,
I
yeah.
watched some
Yeah.
Showtime in the Apollo
And I
once,
used to
too.
watch that a lot, which
Yeah,
was
same.
great. And then
I guess they would start with the stand-up. Yeah,
they
right?
started. They did some stand-up and some different acts and stuff.
Oh, there was
so, but
Star Search.
Star
Is that a
Search.
big way
But
to
my
see a
That's where I
stand-up?
saw Sinbad. That's where Sinbad came out of Star
Yeah.
Search.
my dad was a big fan of stand-up, so he used to play comedy records like Bill Cosby and
Oh,
like George
I
Carlin
remember all
and
those.
stuff.
The old Richard Pryor and Bill
And
Cosby.
then I
records.
used to read their books. Like I went through this phase where I would like go to the library and like check out any book that was written by like a stand-up comedian. I would like read. So I've read like Tim Allen's book and like
I read Dennis
like,
Leary's book, the one about NyQuil.
yeah, I probably read that
one
one too.
about
Chris
NyQuil?
Rock's book.
The NyQuil is in the title of the book. He had like
Oh.
a whole act that was based on NyQuil and how much he loved NyQuil.
No, I did though. I admired him tremendously because I had seen his stand up. I wasn't like a huge stand up fan, but I knew enough, and I remember him standing out to me in a major way the first time I ever saw him on MTV. I was like, holy shit, this guy is something else. Like he
When
is
somebody's
really funny.
on the top of their game and you watch them firing on all cylinders in front of a crowd,
But then
it's pretty compelling.
It's amazing.
But then he also had a stand-up special that really put him on the map. I think it was called No Cure for Cancer.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The stand-up act, yeah.
Where he's smoking the whole time.
He's smoking the
Yeah.
whole time, and it's hilarious. It's fucking amazing. And so I knew him from that. And then I don't think at the time I really knew his acting stuff that much, but I just admired him as a performer. So yeah,
Very
it was
nice.
exciting.
Dennis Leary.
He still smokes?
There's another
I
name
don't
to
think he
look
does,
up.
no.
I don't know. Dennis, you still smoking, pal?
It's time.
Get him on the
It's time.
podcast.
But the stop smoking thing, like, it reminds me of I recently saw an article about a guy, I can't remember where it was, but who hadn't taken a bath in like 65 years.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And then they
Dirtiest man in
convinced
the
him to
world.
do it, and he
He
died like a
He
few
took a
days
bath
later.
and died.
yeah.
What?
I do think about that. You're like, okay, let's say a person like ate bacon, like just tons of bacon and like smoked a
bacon
ton of
boy.
cigarettes and like all this stuff for their entire life, and then if they make a change, like does your body become so acclimated to that one?
Oh
bad
my
habit?
god.
I think
It's just like, oh, what's his name from Smiling Friends? Salty. It's just like Salty from Smiling Friends. He decided to have his last burger, and that's when he had a heart attack.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe he shouldn't have taken a full-on bath. Maybe just like walk through the rain first. You know,
Or
And
like
then,
just wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Right.
Cut that.
The Always Sunny podcast
BetterHelp.
is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Do you ever wish life came with an owner's manual like your vehicle?
Do you struggle to understand why you're feeling feelings?
We
Yes!
all be feeling feelings every day, but sometimes they get overwhelming, and unfortunately, there is no owner's manual for them. But BetterHelp Online Therapy is basically the next best thing.
But the thing is, it's true because therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions and to learn productive coping skills, which makes therapy the closest thing to an owner's manual of you.
Therapy is helpful in all regards, and BetterHelp has connected millions with licensed therapists. It's convenient, accessible anywhere, and entirely online.
As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online, plus it's affordable.
All you got to do, just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It could not be simpler.
No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist.
Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/sunny.
That's right. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Sunny.
Nice, short, quick, sweet ad.
This is going back to something we were talking about earlier, but it's interesting to me to ask you guys. So none of you have ever been in a writer's room as a writer for somebody else's show, right?
No.
So you've never done a
Wow.
booth like just pitching ideas to somebody else's thing, or have you done that?
I did pop into the writer's room a few times when Marta and Roselle, when we produced Unsupervised.
Yes.
And that's the one time I've ever spent
Unsupervised.
some time in a writer's room where I was like breaking stories and talking about story ideas on somebody else's show, even though I was an EP on the show. But other than that, no.
It's interesting that like none of you have ever.
It's hard. I did that with them too. And I'd be like, I think we should go there. And they're like, no, we should go somewhere else. I'm like, but it seems like, no, we should go. No, we're going this direction. I'm like, but that.
Well, it's like if you started out as the lead singer-songwriter in a band, right? And then somebody said, hey, come in and sing backup vocals for me. And you went in and you're like, well, we'll sing it like this. And they're like, well, no, you're doing backup. So you're like,
I don't know if it's analogous to that because you are contributing, It would be like someone's like. It would be like Simon and Garfunkel, and Simon's like, well, this is the way we've been doing it, and Art, you've been helping out with the songwriting, but we're going to do it like this. And then one day, Garfunkel's like, no, we're going to do it like this.
We're gonna do it
And then
this
Paul
way.
Simon's like, goodbye.
Gar fuck off.
Gar fuck
Gar
off.
fuck yourself. That's better. Nice one.
It's just interesting to me because like you guys are great showrunners to work for, and
Everybody
and,
catch that?
Everybody catch that?
And
Everybody-
not
everybody
me
here?
Say this. But you would think that would come because you've worked in rooms and you know how to treat people fairly because you've been. But it's just interesting that like you guys have never been on that side of it and still treat people with like respect and dignity when they're in the room.
Maybe why we treat people with respect and dignity.
Maybe.
You know, I
don't
think
know.
it could be that, you know, if you come out of years of being demoralized by a showrunner, you know, and then you finally get your shot, you're like, that was
I'm gonna
my
step
job.
on
I
them.
find that more often than not, that people, if they haven't gone through something, if they've been mistreated, they tend to mistreat
Yeah, maybe that's it.
because they've either that's the way that they've learned,
Damn.
or because they
We're getting
truly
heavy
feel like,
over
no,
here. In
this
I
the...
think it's often it's just who
I've-
you are, right?
I've
It's
never
like
been mistreated like on a show or like like on a movie or like in a writer's room. I don't think I would take it very well.
I've
I've been mistreated, but not.
Oh,
abused in
me
like,
neither.
a real way. Not in the way that a lot of people have been mistreated in this business.
have I told the story of working with that director on Fargo where with the props?
No.
Have I told this story? No. Okay. So I've been extremely lucky too. I haven't really run into too many problems on sets with like jerks or somebody being a jerk to me, and I very much wouldn't take it well. And I knew that I wouldn't take it well, and luckily I'd never encountered it, so never had to deal with it. But I was working on an episode of Fargo, and there was a director who just, you know,
I've been mistreated by a director. I was in this
whatever.
musical
Anyway, we were setting up a
and
scene. I was gonna. Yeah.
He's back
Anyway,
there.
I put
He's there. He's there right now. If you were to take his blood pressure, it'd be through the roof.
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Now what does fucker say? What does
what did he do to
the
you,
scene,
Glenn?
With me and Billy Bob, and I had to do a thing where, okay, so the scene was I had to use one of those, like, you know, those voice modulators that you put like on the phone to modulate your voice, or like this or whatever. So my character is supposed to
Like in the
take this
dentist
voice
system.
modulator, put it on the phone, dial the phone, and call someone and use the thing, you know. So we're in the rehearsal, and, you know, we're like, let me rehearse this with the props, just because, you know, I want to make sure that it all, like, so it's not goofy, you know. So I have the voice modulator in one hand, and then I've got to grab the receiver. It was one of those phones where the numbers were on the thing. So this thing was kind of big, and then I've got the receiver in this hand, and I was like, you know, and this is a rehearsal, like, in front of the crew. Like, I don't think the whole crew was there, but there were people watching the rehearsal, you know. And I was like, oh, you know what? This is a little awkward because I'm not sure how I'm supposed. If I've already got this in my hand, you know, how am I supposed to dial the phone? You know, like with this thing in my hand. And he was like, "You've never dialed a phone before?" And I was like,
Oh, come on.
immediately, because I knew what that meant. You know, that's not a real question.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's what I said to him. I was like, "Is that a real question?"
That's
He
cute.
was like, you just dial the phone as you would any other phone. And I was like, "You've misunderstood my question. I have something in both hands. My fingers are occupied. So what I'm saying that you've misunderstood is how am I supposed to dial a phone with fingers that I don't have? Do you understand my question now?" And this guy was like,
I hope
was
this guy
like,
is
"Who the fuck
watching
is
this right
guest
now."
Star? Like, that was, I could tell that was what he was thinking. He was like, "Who the fuck is this guest star I think he is?" And I was like, "Motherfucker, I'll walk off this set. I don't give a shit."
No, see, we respond to that differently because, like, my response would be like, "Okay, I'll figure it out. Like, I just want to like make
No, I was
you
like,
pleased and
I was
happy."
like, "No, you explain it. You explain it, because you seem to understand how a man with no fingers can use his fingers to dial a phone. So you explain it to me and the whole fucking crew right now, you prick."
You
But Meg,
prick.
to your point, I get when you say like you want to make the environment as peaceful as possible.
Yeah.
But if someone comes at you with that level of disdain or aggression, would you respond the same way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's two, like for me, I'm trying to get better at it, but there's usually two options. One is appease and like get the situation back to peace, however quickly we can do that, or burst into tears and then leave. And so that's the
I gotta
choice.
work on my bursting into tears, because
Would and
that's a good
have
move.
removed yourself from the situation, thought on it, and then eventually acted and called bad
Yeah.
behavior out. And which is to say, like you wouldn't
You wouldn't take it.
completely. You might take it in the moment, but that doesn't mean you're totally going to take
No.
People have
and
different
I-
triggers too,
Yeah.
right? Like for some reason, my biggest trigger when it comes to that kind of thing is if somebody tries to, like, and I'm better about it now than I used to be when I was younger. I had a real fucking temper about this, but like if anybody tried to humiliate me, certainly, even if it wasn't in front of other people, but certainly if it was like in front of people, nothing would set me off more than like, you know, somebody trying to humiliate me.
See,
Because that's what
that-
it felt like. It felt like he was trying to humiliate. He
That
wanted to
I have had
humiliate me, and I was like,
I have had that happen, and at the time, like, I didn't do anything about it, but you know what has helped me now is, like, just having enough wins, like, having the confidence of looking back and, like, in particular, I'm remembering a showrunner that I was on set with one of the episodes that I'd written, and the showrunner wasn't on set, and when we first screened the episode, the editor's cut in the writer's room, the showrunner didn't like it and said to me in front of the whole writer's room, "Is this what you think TV is? No, seriously, is this what you think TV is supposed to be like? Tell me right now that this is what you think that TV is supposed
Oh
to
my
be.
god!
This is what you think it's supposed to be like."
Was that Danny
just
Boy?
have-
Was that Danny Boy? Oh, that sounds like it might have been Danny Boy. Oh, Dan, that's not sexy.
Hammering me on that, and I was like, I don't even know what you don't like about it, like, but I was really nervous because I was like, oh, I fucked up the episode, and it's already been shot, so we can't do anything about it. Hated it. I immediately was like, you should humiliate me because I ruined it, and so felt like that until the episode aired, and then it was like one of the most popular episodes of the show ever. So then now
Let's go!
moments like that and going like, well,
What episode was that? Was that an episode of Community? Hold on, let me see. Cooperative calligraphy, intermediate documentary filmmaking, redux, basic cupine neurology, paranormal advanced introduction to finality. Okay. Maybe it was this one, intermediate documentary filmmaking, because that's a really good one. That is a really good one. I mean, it's Megan Gans. They're all really good ones. Ah, look at her. Ah, look at her. She's looking good. Hi, Megan.
consider the source. Like, do you think this person is the end-all be-all of knowing everything about what TV is? If so, then you can feel shame for what. But so that's helped. But like at the beginning, yeah, I mean, I also, even as a guest star, you were like famous enough or successful enough that you felt like I can walk out of here and still have a career. But I was like, you know, a young writer on a staff. I was like, I can't be like, fuck you. I'll like walk out of this room.
Yeah, I think to be
yeah.
fair, I think
Sure,
if
yeah, there's time and place for it.
yeah, I think if I wasn't in the position, if I desperately needed that job, I might have been able to I might have just swallowed it a little bit in that moment, but knowing that I didn't,
But I bet it ended right after that exchange, right? Like,
it shut him down.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens.
shut him
because
down.
that's what
He
yeah,
actually-
with bullies, right?
But
Because
he
it's
became
like
very nice after that.
course.
they don't
actually.
bully a guy like you, especially if they know, oh, this guy's not going to take it.
Yeah.
They
No.
bully someone like Megan who's in her first year.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, famous directors who you've heard have like terrible tempers, and you see like clips of them like freaking out on somebody on set, and you're like, well, they're not freaking out on the guy that can kick the living shit out of them.
Yeah. It's bully writ large.
But to bring it around back to like this episode and taking big swings and stuff, I think that the real shame of doing stuff like that, of trying to humiliate somebody or like being like a shitty boss, is that you kind of suffocate that person's ability to just like try things.
You gotta kick around.
You
some
have
boundaries
to
get so good.
try
Also, my half
things.
idea might merge with somebody else's half idea and then become like, but if I never say it out loud, it never.
I feel like
No,
almost
there's-
every
well,
episode of our show
yeah,
has
is like
been a
that.
result of like some weird conversation about like, you know, some fucking dumb
There is a
moment.
balance though, right? Like if you feel all your pitches are going over like a lead balloon,
Sure.
then you probably should pick up on that and be like, all right, well, let me think through these a little bit more before I pitch them. Right?
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah,
Well,
but-
I'm trying to certainly pitch Sunny ideas to you guys, not like any random idea that I try to tailor it to the people that I'm pitching to. And
Yeah.
I feel like I know you guys a little bit now, so I was a little bit successful yesterday in the writer's room. I feel like I got some things on note cards.
you
No,
really
okay.
and is that, well, a lot of them I'm thinking like, is that what you think television's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
really what you think TV?
Yeah.
We should pull that
Oh
out
my
at some
God.
point today.
Speaking of writing,
Speaking of
the show,
writing,
we
it's
better get
10:15. We have to
We better
go.
go write this
Write the
show.
show.
Let's go write the show.
Oh my God! They're going to write the show. Season 16. I can't wait for it. I'm gonna pee my pants when season 16 comes out. Bum. All right, good stream. Happy stream. I'm gonna try to do this every single Monday. So, see you around.